What's up, Nitro Gang? Welcome to the water damage repair restoration video of my Traxxas Revo Survivor Edition. I flipped this one straight into the ocean. It was my fault, and now I'm gonna be restoring it. In the last part, I tore apart the engine block. So this is the OS18TZ engine block, one of the best small block engines you could possibly get that's a direct fit for the Revo. And I freaking destroyed it. I'm pissed over it, but you know what? Nitro Gang takes responsibility. So at this point, there's a couple things I can do. A lot of people usually use a heat gun on this, and you basically have to warm up the engine. You know, that way you can get a lot of the oil in there to heat up and free and loosen up the piston itself. This one is pretty tight. I'm not going to attempt to actually spin it over anymore. Some people use a hair dryer. Now, considering I have short hair and I am not a woman, I do not currently own a hair dryer. The next best thing is to bake it. That's right, we're gonna have the Great American Traxxas Nitro Revo Engine Bake. And if I'm feeling hungry, I might even throw in a little bit of a personal pie pizza in there with this motor. The goal here is to just basically free up the system itself. I don't want to risk moving this anymore. Some of you might say, how come I didn't remove the clutch? This material itself is meant to handle at least a 250-degree temperature range. You know, it's a clutch. It literally engages in the form of friction and it contacts the clutch belt. That's literally how it spins. So I'm not too particularly worried about the clutch shoes themselves. Yeah, you could remove it and then stick this in the oven because, you know, you probably want to make sure you just have metal in there. But to be honest with you, if you ever dealt with a clutch like this, you would know it's kind of hard to get this positioned correctly. A lot of the times the spring will just like snap or come off and, you know, disassemble itself. So I want to minimize any risk, you know, of not being able to assemble this correctly or spending any money on it because, I'm just cheap. I just want this thing to run. I'm also going to be cleaning, obviously, the chassis itself here. There's plenty of sand, you know, where the motor is sitting. So I'm just going to use like a toothbrush, you know, clean it in the sink. It's no big deal. I've already individually cleaned all of the separate component parts that go into this, including the carburetor. This carb is relatively different. It is still full metal bodied, but it also has a plastic sleeve on the bottom of it. So when you insert it into the opening on a crankcase like that, right, where it needs to be, the part that contacts the engine is still a form of plastic. Very interesting design. I don't know if this is what contributes to a very good tune on this motor or not, but I gotta say I've ran other OS carbs, but most of them do not have this composite material at the bottom. And this particular motor with this carb, the tune, Guys, I gotta tell you, I have not retuned it in like over a year, and it still runs ideally. All right, enough talking, stick this in the oven. I'm baking the engine block, guys. It's right here in my oven. It's a little bit less than 250 degrees. I would say this is probably like 200. You know, I'm gonna lower it a little bit. Let it sit there for a while. Just want the oil to have a good ability to go into all the tiny channels. You don't have the metals expand. These motors generally operate at like around 220, 240. Safely you could hit 250 degrees. So I'm gonna give it maybe like 8 to 10 minutes in here. Hopefully that'll do the trick. Engine's ready along with a pizza. Oh, there's no pizza. Let's see. Hopefully this thing spins over. Oh yeah, you guys see that? I could actually move the crank a little bit. Oh, it's working. Look inside. The crankshaft is actually spinning. Seems to have worked. I don't want to do too much, but yeah, I could literally see the oil bubbling inside there. Look at the piston. The piston is moving. Heating your engine in the oven is the best way to unseize it. Absolutely no resistance anymore. So the oil, as I was watching, did kind of boil a little bit in there. I was probably like 210 degrees. Perfect. Salt water can't even kill this Revo. I have my toothbrush. I have some nice hot running water. I've removed the engine. As you can tell, obviously the fuel tank just has 2 clips here. It can come out like this. Very easy to work on. I generally wash things like this separately just because, you know, it's in your best interest to do that. You guys see how easy this chassis is actually to work on? Basically just spray it down. I'm gonna get a little bit wet here. By a little, I mean very wet. Then we'll use the toothbrush. Boom, bada bing, and you're done, you know? Easy as that. We don't want insane water pressure here because, you know, you're going to be splashing yourself with a lot of this dirt and grime and sand, and then you're going to have to do laundry. Right now, seems to be a deficit on toilet paper and laundry products at the supermarket. So, you know, I'm doing my part here to make sure that none of us run out of stuff at the supermarkets. You don't need to get crazy on this. If you're going to run this on the beach, or pretty much if you're going to run this anywhere, nitros just get dirty. You don't have to go all out with this whole cleaning here. But since we're doing a video, you know, let's just get some nice heavy-duty soap on this and go to town. I've honestly never cleaned the chassis here, so this is the first time. Of course, keep in mind, a lot of this stuff I'm doing, it's a little bit extra. If I was just running this for me, you know, and I am running it for me, a lot of this would take me pretty much no time at all. And clearly, I would not have let the engine sit for so long and get rusty as I did. But, you know, I just want to demonstrate for video purposes how easy it is to ruin a motor, you know. And honestly, I'm kind of surprised that it only took 2 days to fully seize itself up. But, yeah, okay. The stuff I do for the NitroGang, guys. See that? Like new, guys. Like new. Don't be afraid to get your nitros all soapy, you know, once in a while. They love to take a bath, too. You see that? Man, how clean is that? I'm going to let it just dry here for a little bit. I'm not going to really, you know, worry too much about the front here. There's like electronics here. I'm not going to mess with that. I'm running like the worst quality servos, you know, Tower Pro and just stock Traxxas servos. I don't even think they're waterproof. So for now, we just have ourselves a good clean surface here. This should be perfect. I'm going to wash the fuel tank separately. It's all sealed, so getting water over it like this really doesn't even matter. You know, clean it however you want. Scrub it, brush it. Soap is good. But for now, we're just going to, you know, just get it a little bit less sandy. That's all that really matters. We're not going for an award winner here, you know, we're just trying to get this thing running. Alright, Nitro Gang, we're back to the motor. I just took it out of the oven. I actually did 2 cycles in the oven, so I put oil, you know, swished it around in there a little bit. It moved just fine. So the reason I had to do 2, you know, pretty much heat cycles, as though would say, I guess you could consider this like an engine break-in after the salt water. Oil has a really good ability to bind to any kind of debris in there, salt, whatever it is. And I switched it around. I actually saw more particles come out on the second time. Then I put it back into the oven. And after the 2 cycles in the oven, it is as free as possible. Like, there's pretty much no signs of any damage on this block at all at this point. A lot of people say you gotta remove the crankcase bearings. That's a lot of extra work. Anytime you're disassembling unnecessary parts like that, there's always a huge risk of you not getting it back together. And honestly, parts for an engine like this, if I had to replace the main bearings in the crank there or the crank itself, I probably would have just went and got a dynamite .19, stuck this in here, and called it a freaking day. I think this is going to be operable, and you know what? We're going to be starting this engine by the end of this video. I don't care how long it's going to take. I don't care if this is a 50-minute video. Well, it's not going to be 50 minutes because I don't like to edit videos that long. Anyways, let's put some oil in this, and I'm going to show you guys exactly that it does spin over. So far, I have not put any oil into this, and check out how easy it spins. It's just so effortless. There is some minor rust inside the engine, but you know what? It really doesn't matter. Once this heats up and it gets to a normal operating temperature with the nitro fuel, once you run it, it should be fine. This really doesn't matter. I've run engines that were so rusty, I didn't even think they would run. Let's put some oil in here. Okay. Oh yeah, that feels great. Once you see it coated in the oil, the sleeve itself looks brand new. It's easy to say, hey, your sleeve is scored, but you know what? Whenever you're looking at a nitro engine that you literally took out of your car, it's always going to have oil film left on the sleeve itself. So this one, absolutely perfect. Of course, I run like the most serious motor saver air filter, so that in itself stopped any dirt, any sand getting inside. Saltwater damage? Yeah, it made some goo, but this is fine. No big deal. Put some more in here. All right. Put some more in there. Put some more through the exhaust port. I'm gonna cycle it a little. It's all oiled up, should be good to go. I'm not worried about the bearings there. I mean, they're fine. The way this engine is spinning over right now, this is absolutely perfect. Let's put it back together. This is as far as I can actually go. I will only be able to mount the coolant head once the thing is actually installed in the motor mounts, because there just won't be any space to reach the engine bolts once it's in the car. So this is as far as it's gonna go right now. I have to get this into the Revo itself. I didn't want to get into, you know, the actual assembly of this. It's actually quite easy. Just put the back plate on here, put the pull starter on, you know, get your car back in, put the clutch on, boom, there you go. The only thing is on top here is the head button. This has to go in first. So if I spin the pull start now, there's still gonna be a lot of compression here, right? Because there's a whole bunch of oil in the engine as I was assembling it, clearly. But, oh man, that compression. Oh, you hear that? Oh. That's a lot of compression, and that's just with the head button attached. That's not even with the coolant head. When this is going to be putting down a lot of that force on top of the head button there, this compression here is going to be insane. So this is a good indicator that, you know, the motor is not scored inside. There's still adequate compression in the cylinder. Of course, you have to start it, you have to run it. Hopefully it still runs identically. Let's get this back in the Revo. All right, gang, it's lunchtime. I'm sitting here in my car. Later on, I'm gonna get Wendy's, but for now, I have some homemade beef stroganoff and some yellow rice. Man, this stuff is delicious. Let me have some right here. Enough about lunch. Check this out. I'm gonna be doing a full review video on this right here. This is the FY03H from Feiyu. It's clearly a bang good RC car, you know, but this is actually pretty unique. There's a lot of really interesting and redeeming features. A lot of you might say, hey, this has been done before. Hey, don't you already have a WL Toys that looks just like this? Well, the answer is yes to all of those questions, but I don't have one that has a metal body. This is actually a metal body. A lot of YouTubers have reviewed these RCs, but to be honest with you, they provided pretty much nothing that I really wanted to know about it. In terms of speed, we're gonna get to the speed test later. But guys, check this out. This is one of the spare wheels that goes on the back. Very interesting. I just wanted to point this out. This is a damn bead lock, guys. Check this out. So if you remove the inner ring here, right, there's actually foam inside these tires. Now, the rubber itself is very, very smooth. I compared it to my WL Toys, and we're gonna do a whole video on this RC later. These are actually much better and taller tires than the ones that WL Toys comes with. Price-wise, this is a brushless model, so keep that in mind. It comes fully ready to run with, you know, a Traxxas looking like 2.4 gigahertz remote, which really has a good hand feel. It has a full set of alloy differentials. Even the wheel hubs, I'm going to show you later, not in this video, they are aluminum 12mm hubs. Very, very cool. I'm going to turn it on in my car right now. I just want to show you guys. Check out the steering. Man, that is really fast. I just want to say what's great about this is it has pretty much standard electronics. This is a brushless system, but keep in mind this is not a regular typical, 3650 style can. This has an in-runner style motor. You can't see it because it's hidden by the body, but otherwise, it is honestly a good deal for about $128, I think, right now. Sometimes they go on promos. This is a fully ready to run RC, and it could take a 3S. The real question is, will it drive on the top of my Prius? Let's find out. No problem. Look at this. Sick traction. No skidding at all. Look at that steering. You can even steer on your damn windshield wipers. Oh. It's good. The metal body. Protection. We got it. Look at that slow descent. Some would call this downhill control. This is car climbing 101. Who needs a Land Rover? Get a Prius on one of these. What I want to point out by this test is the very good slow speed control of this RC. It ain't about driving on top of my Prius, although it is quite fun. It's really just about the slow speed control. Do I look happy? I'm a little bit happy. I think I did quite a good job. I put everything back together, oiled the air filter. I used some really good two-stroke synthetic racing oil, actually the same exact oil that I run in my fifth scale RCs. It's fine. Do yourself a favor and get clear fuel line. That way when you prime, you can clearly tell if fuel is entering the engine or not. Just one of those helpful hints. This colorful one is just for the exhaust. It really doesn't matter. It's the original tubing, but clearly you could tell that, you know, having clear fuel line is in your best interest when it comes to something like this. Some of you guys asked me what this 1-1 is, and I have these stickers on all of my RCs. This is Remote 1, Model Memory 1. For those of you that don't already know, I use these Fly Sky systems. They're very good. They run AAAs, but you know what? Never had an issue with these. They're very cheap to, buy separate receivers for, and you could have up to a 10 model memory. But what happens is you wind up forgetting which model is which remote. Since I have two of these, I gotta make sure that I'm using the right remote whenever I go. You don't want to go RC and forget or not bring your remote. That is one of the most embarrassing things, other than of course a nitro run or walk of shame. Anyways, this thing is back. Let's go put some fuel in it and start it up. Here we go, guys. Everything is on. We have some bricks in the front, just in case I messed up any of the throttle trim linkages, but it should be fine. Let's hope it starts. Main thing is to look for the fuel in the fuel line itself while I prime. This is the most annoying part. Oh yeah, you guys see that? One little pull. Did you literally see that? Oh man. That felt great. Of course, there's way too much compression now because, the engine is basically full of oil. And after you rebuild an engine like this, it's usually pretty hard to start. I might have to remove the glow plug, but for now, let's just hope it fires up. It might not, so no guarantees here. Plug is good. I can see a green LED indicator on this glow starter. My goal here is just to start it, warm it up, make sure if there's any water, which I don't think there is, because I baked this thing twice in the oven. Oh yeah, that's good. Finally! It's gonna take a little bit of time. Welcome to the end of this video, Nitro Gang. I got another surprise. This is the second unveiling of another RC in this video, other than this successful rebuild of this water damaged OS engine. It started right up, ran good. Yes, I know the idle was a little high. I'm gonna work on that later. The goal here was just to get it to start. But check this out, guys. This is what I was telling you I was gonna get. It's finally here. This is the RJ Speed 1/10 scale Pro Mod Nitro Dragster. And guess what? This is a kit. We're gonna go old school on this one. Since we're quarantined right now, there's really nowhere else to go RC outside, and be safe at the same time. I figured why not pick myself up a little bit of a model, and I decided to get a dragster. There's basically close to zero information about this thing anywhere online. There's really only the electric models, but I have an engine, I have everything. This thing should include everything other than the required equipment you would need to build any kit, just as if you had an old RC10 like from 25 years ago. This is gonna be fun. Congratulate me, guys. We are going strong. Nitro Gang is never gonna die. See you later.